This week on BuzzFeed Unsolved, we cover the mysterious death of Charles C. Morgan. This case is a bizarre web of crimes full of clues that only lead to more questions. This case is layered, so there's multiple crimes that happen in this one. It's not just Charles C. Morgan.
It's a crime parfait. Can we call it that?
Sure, you can call it whatever you want, man.
All right.
Or a 6-layer dip.
Ooh.
There you go. We're gonna dip our little chips in it.
Scoop on in.
Eat it in. Got a little on your finger. Lick that off.
Our little justice
Finger
chips.
licking good. Yeah, a little justice chip. Don't
Like a
drop some on your
bite.
shirt. No shit. Okay, I can take it off. Okay. Well, let's get into it. On March 22nd, 1977, Charles Morgan, a 29-year-old escrow agent in Tucson, Arizona, went missing after leaving his home, seemingly abducted on the way to his escrow company. 3 days later, at 2 a.m., he finally returned home. His wife, Ruth Morgan, reported that he had a plastic handcuff around one ankle and handcuffs around his hands. He pointed to indicate that he couldn't speak. Ruth gave him a pen and paper, and he wrote that there was a hallucinogenic drug in his throat that could destroy his nervous system.
What? It's in his throat?
Yeah.
That would destroy his nerve? That's just poison then at that point, isn't it?
If you have handcuffs and ankles and your hands, and that's an afterthought of what's happening to you, you know you're into some weird shit at the moment.
Yeah. That's why I stay away from, people always say, oh, LSD, man. It'll open up your mind. You go open a door that you can never close. I'm like, I think I'm good, pal.
Ruth wanted to call the police or get in contact with a physician, but Charles told her not to and said it would put their family in danger. Ruth resigned to nursing him back to health, after which he told her that for the past 2 or 3 years, he had been working as a secret agent for the Treasury Department. He claimed his abductors took his Treasury ID, giving her no more details.
It seems weird to be a secret agent for the Treasury Department.
That was something that I first thought as well.
What are
You
they
wouldn't
like going out and just making sure nobody's got any loose Sacagaweas in their pockets? Like, don't be carrying those around anymore. They don't work in vending machines.
Yeah, it's true.
Got to get those out of there.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I don't see what would necessitate having a secret agency department.
What are you doing?
Within the Treasury Department, but I do have an answer for that. You may find it odd that the Treasury Department would have secret agents. Let's go into a brief explanation. On July 5th, 1865, the U.S. Secret Service was formed to catch counterfeiters. In 1867, the mission of the Secret Service broadened to, quote, detecting persons perpetrating frauds against the government, end quote. It was part of the Department of Treasury until 2003 and is now part of the Department of Homeland Security.
I'm imagining just desk jockeys sort of out in the field just sweating.
I'm also just imagining the secret agent office being within the Treasury office.
Yeah.
They're walking into work covered in blood and shit, and there's just desk jockeys sitting there crunching numbers, having to coexist together in the break room.
All the dorks.
All the dorks.
Yeah.
Now, back to Charles. 2 months after Charles's disappearance, he is reported missing again. After 9 days, Ruth receives a phone call. An unidentified woman tells Ruth, quote, Chuck is all right. Ecclesiastes 12, 1-8. End quote, and then hangs up. 2 days later, on June 18th, his body is discovered lying 40 miles west of Tucson near his Mercury Cougar. Charles C. Morgan had been shot in the back of the head by his own gun, a .357 caliber Magnum revolver. He was found wearing a bulletproof vest that he reportedly had been wearing after his first disappearance, a belt buckle that concealed a knife, and a holster. A pair of sunglasses found at the scene were not his. Pima County Sheriff investigators searched his car and found several weapons and a cache of ammunition. The car had reportedly been altered so that it could be unlocked from the fender. On the rear seat of the car, Morgan's tooth was discovered, wrapped up in a white handkerchief. And yet, that isn't the strangest thing investigators found at the scene.
What is going on, Ryan?
There's a lot of things going on here, and I will telegraph that I don't have a lot of answers for these weird things that are happening here. Bizarrely, there was also an item pinned to Morgan's underwear, a $2 bill with 7 Spanish surnames and a map of the border area. The map led to the towns Robles Junction and Solicity, an area between Tucson and Mexico. Those towns had a reputation for smuggling at the time, a fact that will become important later. Above the list of surnames was the note, quote, Ecclesiastes 12, end quote, and arrows pointing to the numbers 1 and 8 within the bill's serial number. Some of the writings on the bill had alleged Masonic references. Charles also had a piece of paper with directions to the site where he was found. The directions were in his handwriting.
Well, this just gets nuttier and nuttier.
It's odd.
If you were up to some shady no-good business and you knew your goose was cooked, is maybe the best way to just throw a bunch of shit at the wall.
To get them away from you, you would...
Just fuzz the radar, you know?
What would be that
If you're throwing like, put his tooth in the back seat, put a Bible verse in there, pin this to his underwear.
You're saying this is from the perpetrator's perspective.
Yeah, if he was involved with shady people, they killed him, and they didn't want stuff to get traced back to him. What you do is you just turn into like a J.J. Abrams type. And you start planting all these little mystery boxes.
Yeah, little mystery boxes.
Yeah, you think that's what's going on here?
Perhaps. I mean, like, they could throw them off the trail, make them think this is some kind of weird serial killer, not just organized crime.
Right.
Medical investigators said he had been dead for only 12 hours when he was found. Strangely, there were no fingerprints found at the scene, not even on the gun. On Morgan's hand, they found gunpowder and residue. It is likely for this reason, the sheriff's department labeled it as a suicide. And for years, that seemed to be the end of the Charles C. Morgan case, a supposed suicide with twisted clues that seemed to suggest otherwise. And with that, let's get into the theories. The first theory is that Morgan's death was in fact a suicide. There was gunpowder on his hand, and the gun used was his own. Yet, Morgan was right-handed, and the gunpowder and residue was on his left hand. It doesn't make sense for him to use his left hand to shoot himself in the back of the head, let alone use such an awkward position to kill himself. Furthermore, the crime scene suggests the presence of someone else, such as Morgan's tooth, the pair of sunglasses that didn't belong to him, and the bizarre $2 bill.
Also, I thought they said they didn't find fingerprints on the gun.
They didn't.
So you're not going to be like, well, this has been swelled. Poof.
Wipe it. Oh, I guess you wipe it off. Yeah. I mean, I guess he could have been wearing gloves. Oh, but if he was wearing gloves, it would be on his hand still.
It'd be on his hand, yeah.
Yeah. Pretty dumb. I don't know why they even considered that.
Maybe they wanted to wrap this up and get on with their day.
Or they're dirty.
Is that one of the theories?
It isn't, but I mean, I just thought of that right now. It seems pretty cut and dry that this is not a suicide. I could say that with a relative amount of certainty, I feel like. Not a suicide. I don't think so. The second theory is that Morgan was killed due to being in the Secret Service. It should be noted that Morgan was not definitively in the Secret Service, but if he was, as he said to his wife, it's possible that this led to his murder. Morgan allegedly had done escrow work for organized crime families. Shortly before his death, Morgan had also testified in a secret state investigation on illegal activity on both sides of the Arizona-Mexico border. He was a reluctant witness for the Arizona Attorney General's office in the questioning of a now-closed Tucson bank. Was Morgan alluding to this case when he told his wife he had been undercover with the Treasury Department? One of Morgan's daughters, Megan Heidi, has stated, quote, "My father had a lot of information about people here in Tucson that could have been very detrimental. There was a lot of information about politicians, people who are still alive that work in our government. He had that information, and they wanted to silence him," end quote. I think, like, it's possible. It's highly possible if he had information that was detrimental to some of these people, the big players in this area, and that's what he was investigating. Maybe he flew a little too close to the sun.
Sure. They found out, he's digging up dirt on us.
Yeah, snip, snip, cut off the loose ends.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were like talking about cutting off his testicles.
His penis?
There was penis here. I don't know.
I mean, no.
Those were intact when they found him.
As far as I know, yes, his penis was still on his person.
Okay. Otherwise, they probably would have mentioned that. Also, his penis.
Yeah, I don't understand why they wouldn't mention he had no penis.
Penis check.
The third theory is that Morgan was murdered due to other illicit activity. 2 days after Morgan's death, a woman who called herself Green Eyes called the Pima County Sheriff's Department and claimed to be the same woman who had contacted Morgan's wife before. Green Eyes said that she had met Morgan in a motel before he died. The Pima County Sheriff's Department had confirmed that Morgan had been staying in a West Side motel for over a week before he was shot. Green Eyes said that Charles showed her a briefcase full of thousands in cash, which he claimed was to buy him out of a contract the mob put on his life.
I'll be honest, this guy sounds like he was into some shady business. He got what was coming.
Or what if he was just doing a service to the country? He was in the Secret Service.
The Secret Service?
It's a secret.
Yeah. It's just sure made a lot of bad friends.
Following her husband's death, Ruth had a visit from 2 men claiming to be the FBI. She said that they flashed their identification quickly and, quote, tore the house apart and left, end quote. But she never learned what they were looking for or if they found it.
So that's some bullshit right there. That's them going like,
yeah.
I'm down the FBI.
Yeah. FBI got to get in here.
Yeah.
Just holding up like a staple.
You ever tried to do that?
No, I haven't.
You've never tried to impersonate an FBI officer?
No, but one time I did hold up a piece of paper that kind of looked like a fast pass at Disneyland.
Yeah.
And I walked quickly enough where they were like, and I knew that person, it was a hot day, so they were not gonna chase me down. So
Yeah.
they're like, yeah.
It's all about confidence.
Almost 13 years after his death, on February 7th, 1990, an episode of NBC's Unsolved Mysteries covering the Charles C. Morgan case aired. This sparked a flux of incoming calls that helped Don Devereaux, a journalist for Unsolved Mysteries, piece together that Morgan had been involved in money laundering and large transactions with gold and platinum that would occur regularly between the years of 1973 and his death in 1977.
So he's using his position at the Treasury to perform illicit
That's not for
activities.
sure, but he was caught for money laundering, yes. And it's kind of funny that this came to light because people watched Unsolved Mysteries and they started calling in with tips to Don Devereaux.
That show accomplished a lot. I think
Yeah.
that was pretty common for that show.
Way more than us.
Yeah.
We've helped solve nada,
Well,
nothing,
we don't
zilch.
also, to be fair, we don't have a hotline.
No, but
Which
all,
we could. Can we? How much is that?
doesn't matter because neither of us are journalists anyway. Message us your tips on Instagram, how about that? Or tweet at us, I don't know.
Yeah, get me on Grahamtown.
Sure, yeah, go to Grahamtown.
I'll meet you there.
Morgan was dealing with upwards of $1 billion worth of gold alone. There were also perhaps undercover CIA agents involved, most likely to pocket money for themselves. Allegedly, exiled Vietnamese government officials were involved, as well as people from the Department of Defense. Morgan was also linked to a money laundering scheme with fraudulent real estate, and one of Morgan's clients was a mafia crew centered around Joseph Bonanno Sr. Devereaux also found that Morgan kept copies of all of the illicit transactions made, thinking they could save him in the future. Were these paper trails of illegal transactions the reason why Morgan was killed?
Maybe.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know much about, illicit dealings, but I'd like to imagine that if you are forming a paper trail, people will not like that.
Yeah.
And if they caught wind of that,
Not happy.
it may be Whacktown.
Yeah.
You know,
Whacktown.
That's where you go when you get whacked.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds like he's involved with a lot of shady people. The Vietnamese government is getting involved?
Yeah, also some rogue CIA agents in there. So he's really just forming a group of people here that you don't want to be seen with. Perhaps lending credence to the idea that Morgan was silenced. A similar crime occurred around the airing of the Unsolved Mysteries episode that exposed most of Morgan's criminal activity. On May 14th, 1990, at 11 p.m., Phoenix, Arizona resident Doug Johnston left for his night shift at a computer graphics company. He was found dead an hour later in his company's parking lot, slumped in the front seat of his car, having been shot once behind the left ear. It was determined that the gun had been at least 12 inches away from Doug when it went off. Like Morgan, authorities believed that Doug committed suicide. However, Doug was right-handed, and the bullet was behind the left ear. No gun or gun residue was found at the scene of the crime, but a .25 caliber bullet casing was found. The medical examiner said the shot could have been self-inflicted or the work of someone else. Doug's widow said he would have never committed suicide. Curiously, Don Devereaux, the journalist who previously investigated Charles Morgan's case for Unsolved Mysteries, lived across the street from the site where Doug Johnston was found. Another interesting shared aspect between the two, Johnston's car, a Toyota station wagon, was very similar to Devereaux's. Around this time, Devereaux had a conversation with another journalist who had received a warning from the CIA. This journalist learned from a trusted CIA source that the killing of Doug Johnston was a bot's job and that the bullet was meant for Devereaux. This CIA authority had also claimed that there were still contracts out for Devereaux's death. These threats may have occurred because of Devereaux looking into the death of Charles C. Morgan.
Is that bad for us?
I was thinking that as I was reading this, like, oh shit, this guy is doing he's essentially doing a very souped up version of what we're doing.
Yeah.
And he almost got a bullet in his head. And the only reason he didn't is because they got the wrong car.
Yeah, for the record, I'm not going to be looking into this much more after this episode.
I'm not looking
at all.
After this episode airs.
I'm done with it.
I'm done with it too, yeah. I'm just reading the tale. I'm reading
Just
the tale.
read
Don't
the tale,
kill the
and
messenger.
then we're done with
Yeah,
it.
okay. But it would be a fruitless effort to kill us. You're not preventing anything. There's no follow-up.
There's no follow-up.
Unless they kill us before the postmortem.
Then you're just going to be drawing more attention to yourself.
You'll be preventing the hot dog its next installment, which, oh no.
It made it into the main show.
Nope,
we did it.
Cut that
Yes.
out. Cut
Nope.
that out.
Keep
Cut
it
that
in.
out. No,
Keep
cut
it
that
in.
out. Cut that out. I'm
Keep it
serious.
in.
Cut that out. That
Keep it in. I'm serious.
There is a sanctuary
Nope.
that is the main episode.
It's infected it, and that's fine.
You cannot
That's
corrupt
fine.
it. Okay, you're gonna cut that out.
Continue.
Further backing up the idea that people looking into Morgan were being silenced, A writer from Washington, D.C. named Dan Casolaro had reached out to Devereaux asking for information on Morgan's gold transactions. Before Devereaux could send the information, Casolaro was found dead in a hotel room in the bathtub with his wrists cut deeply, approximately a dozen times. Police ruled it a suicide. Dan Casolaro's brother, a doctor, said that Dan was so squeamish he would barely let his brother prick his finger for any blood work, which does not add up with Dan Casolaro's method of suicide. Devereaux believes the same people involved in 1970s activities are still out there. They perhaps silenced Morgan and writer Dan Casolaro, and perhaps tried and failed to silence Devereaux. This case leaves us with many questions. If true, why was Charles Morgan in the Secret Service? Is this why he was killed, or was it people involved in money laundering schemes? Did Morgan's copy of illicit transactions get him killed? What was the significance of the $2 bill? Are the killers still out there? And do they still want Don Devereaux dead? The case remains unsolved. All right, well, see you next time on Unsolved, hopefully.
That's it? We're just hard out?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else we could do. I mean, like...
We're not gonna look this one up anymore? We're done with it?
I think it's pretty clear that... Here's the thing.
We'll never solve it. No one ever will.
Yeah, no one should solve it. I think it's clear that this guy was into some weird things.
Yeah.
You said it yourself. Play shitty games, get shitty prizes.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Who needs it?
That's what happens.
Let's get out of here. That's plenty.
Don't kill us.
That's quite enough.